Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ श्री राधे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Saraswati Srimati Divine Grace of Bhaichanarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter number 2, entitled The Remembrance of Lord Krishna, text number 13. Yadharma sunor bata rajasuye Nirikshya driksvastyayanam trilokaha Katsnyenya chadyeha gatam vidhatur Arvakshritau kaushalam ityamantyata Yadharma sunor bhatarajasuye Nirikshya driksvastyayanam tritlokaha Katsnyena chadyeha gatam vidhatur Arvakshritau kaushalam ityamanyata Yadharma sunor bhatarajasuye Nirikshya driksvastyayanam trilokaha Katsnyena chadyeha gatam vidhatur Arvakshritau kaushalam ityamanyata Yadharma sunor bhatarajasuye Nirikshya driksvastyayanam trilokaha Tena vidrena didam nidatur Suno bhatanaya Nirikshya driksvastyayanam trilokaha Katsnyena chadyeha gatam vidhatur Arvakshritau kaushalam ityamanyata Yadharma suno bhatarajasuye Nirikshya driksvastyayanam trilokaha Katsnyena chadyeha gatam vidhatur Arvakshritau kaushalam ityamanyata. Word for word, Yat the form which Dharma Sunoho of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Bhatta is certainly Rajasuya in the arena of the Rajasuya sacrifice. Nirikshya, by observing. Drik, sight. Swastyayanam, pleasing. Trilokaha, the three worlds. Katsnyenya, in sum total. Cha, thus. Adya, today. Iha, within the universe. Gatam, surpassed. Vidhatu, of the Creator. Brahma, Arvak, recent mankind. Shritau, in the material world. Kaushalam, dexterity. Iti, thus. Amanyata, contemplated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Chanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: all the demigods from the upper, lower and middle universal planetary systems assembled at the altar of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. After seeing the beautiful bodily features of Lord Krishna, they all contemplated that he was the ultimate dexterous creation of Brahma, the creator of human beings. Purport: there was nothing comparable to the bodily features of Lord Krishna when he was present in this world. The most beautiful object in the material world may be compared to the blue lotus flower or the full moon in the sky, but even the lotus flower and the moon were defeated by the beauty of the bodily features of Lord Krishna, and this was certified by the demigods, the most beautiful living creatures in the universe. The demigods thought that Lord Krishna, like themselves, was also created by Lord Brahma, but in fact Brahma was created by Lord Krishna. It was not within the power of Brahma to create the transcendental beauty of the Supreme Lord. No one is the creator of Krishna, rather he is the creator of everyone. As he says in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Translation again: all the demigods from the upper, lower and middle universal planetary systems assembled at the altar of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. After seeing the beautiful bodily features of Lord Krishna, they all contemplated that he was the ultimate dexterous creation of Brahma, the creator of human beings. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these three shlokas, according to Bhagavad Subodhini, starting from 12 to 14, this section is Uddhava remembering the beauty of Lord Krishna. So in the previous verse yesterday, he's directly glorifying the transcendental beauty of Lord Krishna, especially his body being the ornament of all ornaments, to the extent that even Vishnu finds Krishna's pastimes as wonderful and extremely attractive. As we see in the pastime of how Arjuna and Krishna went to Svetadvip, they met Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu's excuse for taking all the children was simply to bring Krishna there. Because he knew that if he didn't, he knew he wouldn't be able to take darshan of Lord Krishna directly unless he had performed this particular act or pastime. So even Lord Vishnu is extremely attractive. If Lord Vishnu himself is extremely attractive, what to speak of Lakshmi Devi, who begs the Lord. I was reading recently in the 10th canto, it's mentioned that the goddess of fortune actually, Lakshmi Devi, she actually begs the Lord Lord Krishna to embrace her. But because the Lord says that it's not possible in that particular pastime, she begs him that please allow me to at least remain on your chest as a fine golden hair. And the Lord accepts. So what to speak of Lakshmi Devi, what to speak of Lord Vishnu, even Lakshmi Devi is attracted to Krishna, his body being the transcendental body being the ornament of all ornaments. So then Prabhupada talks in previous purport a bit about Nitya Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, how that everything emanates from the Supreme Lord, Janmadi Yasyataha. Now in terms of text 13, today's verse, here we're talking about how suddenly the Rajasuya sacrifice, where Uddhava is suddenly talking about the Rajasuya sacrifice. And the reason why he's doing this is that to help Vidura relate to how he's feeling separation from the Lord, beginning from remembering his beauty. Because for Vidura, he would immediately remember the beauty of Lord Krishna during the Rajasuya sacrifice. Because all the demigods assembled there by the invitation of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and even in front of them Lord Krishna's beauty was much more prominent. Now, because it's Uddhava speaking, Uddhava was directly involved in this Leela. So it began when one particular day during the Sabha or the assembly of the Yadus, that a messenger of the kings who were imprisoned by Jarasandha appeared and begged Lord Krishna, please, this demon Jarasandha has imprisoned all these kings to the extent that he's going to offer them all in sacrifice to Lord Shiva in the next following days. So you please come immediately save them, they are your devotees. And similarly, Narad Muni appears there and tells Krishna that actually, your Pandavas, your dear devotees, they're planning on executing the Rajasuya sacrifice. So you should go and attend as well. So then Krishna's dilemma is that what should I do? What should I do first? Should I go and deal with Jarasandha, or should I go first to the Rajasuya sacrifice and attend there? And he asks Uddhava himself. And asks, because Uddhava is his advisor, and he asks Uddhava himself what should be done. And Uddhava tells Krishna that you already actually know what needs to be done, but you want to give credit to your devotees, so therefore I suggest that you go to Hastinapur, because both rather not Hastinapur, Indraprastha, because both purposes will be met. First, you will go and help them defeat all the kings, specifically Jarasandha. By doing that, you will save your devotees who are imprisoned by him, and at the same time, you will be able to enable the Rajasuya sacrifice to be held and performed. So then, Krishna, following Uddhava's advice, then goes immediately to Indraprastha, and then naturally, then he takes Bhima and Arjuna to Jarasandha. They disguise themselves as Brahmanas, because Jarasandha is extremely charitable to Brahmanas. So he's extremely inclined to giving charity. And then as the three Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas in disguise as Brahmanas appear in front of Jarasandha, Jarasandha immediately notices something's amiss. And Krishna comes before him and says, look, we are three Brahmanas and we've come to see you for charity. And Jarasandha is thinking that just see the build of these men. They don't look like Brahmanas. And just see the marks on the wrist. It looks like they've been practicing archery for a long period of time. So then he understands that they're in disguise, but still he thinks within his mind that I am charitable to the Brahmanas and I will continue to be charitable even though they have degraded themselves. He's thinking to himself, I will still maintain my vow of charity to the Brahmanas. So then he asks them, so what would you like? What do you want? And Krishna immediately reveals himself. Says, see, this is I, Krishna, your eternal enemy, and also this is Arjuna and Bhima who have come here. So we have come to beg from you a fight, a one-on-one. And Jarasandha starts laughing and he starts calling them the lowest of Kshatriyas. How can you have come in front of me in the disguise of Brahmanas? Nonetheless, I will satisfy your desire, for I am a Kshatriya. So I will not fight you, Krishna, because you are a coward. You have run away from the battlefield. You do not deserve a one-on-one fight with a great person like me. Arjuna, you're too much younger than me, so I will not fight you, because I'll win anyway, ha ha ha. So then I will fight you, Bhima. And so then they fight. And during the fight, Bhima and Jarasandha are equally matched. But even though they are matched, despite Bhima defeating or coming to the stage of coming to defeat Jarasandha, Jarasandha still kept coming back up, getting back up, ready to fight. And he looked toward Krishna after some time and asked him, like, what am I supposed to do? And Krishna, understanding the situation, immediately picked up a blade of grass and he tore it into two and threw them in two different directions. And so Bhima, understanding what happened, immediately tackled or pushed Jarasandha on the floor and immediately bifurcated him and threw him into two different parts, two different areas, and Jarasandha passed away. And by doing that, then Krishna then released all the kings that were imprisoned, and then he went back to Indraprastha along with Bhima and Arjuna to attend the Rajasuya sacrifice. So when they performed the Rajasuya sacrifice, it's mentioned that all the demigods attended, and they attended by the personal invite of Yudhishthira Maharaj. I think it's in Maharaj Prithu's pastimes. I think in those purports, Prabhupada mentions that the sacrifices back then were so pure, they were so performed very correctly without mistakes, that the demigods themselves, because of the rule of that particular king, being pious and just, were obliged to personally come and attend those yagyas. But after that period of time, due to the deterioration and the onset of Kali Yuga, the demigods refused to appear on earth, appear in the yagyas. And I think it's in Maharaj Gaya's pastime, I may be wrong, it's mentioned there that because of Maharaj Gaya's piety, that the demigods appeared to the extent that even the local citizens were able to see them. Or ordinarily not. But the demigods were so obliged to that particular king that when they appeared for the yagya, that they allowed themselves to be seen by the citizens. So this many demigods attended, and they're all seen by those attending the Rajasuya yagya. But because the demigods considered themselves to be the highest human beings in the material world, when they saw Krishna's super excellent beauty, they couldn't think of anything beyond their own. And where did they get their beauty from? They understand that their creator is Brahma. So for them, what did they understand? They understood Krishna's beauty to be that of a creation of Lord Brahma. So avajananti ma mudha manushim tanam ashritaha. It begins from there. Due to a lack of understanding of Krishna's transcendental nature, one begins to equate him to be one of us, amongst us in the material world. And the demigods pretty much display that. And we see that in the pastime of Lord Indra as well, especially in Krishna Leelas, in Krishna's pastimes when Krishna lifts Govardhan hill. Indra immediately tries to chastise the residents of Vrindavan by bringing not just normal rain, but bringing the rain of devastation, that which is done during Pralaya, to kill and to show the residents of Vrindavan that what they should be actually doing and should be following a talkative young boy. And Indra is immediately chastised by Krishna. Krishna then forgives him, excuses him. And then again Indra, when Krishna defeats Bhaumasura and returns all the items to Lord Indra, then Lord Krishna takes the Parijata flower, and Lord Indra then again instigates a war with Krishna, because he's thinking, why should he take something that belongs to the heavenly planets? So the demigods headed by Lord Indra are conditioned souls like us, but their devotion to the Lord is much greater to the extent they understand their position, they understand that their service to the Lord is there. But unfortunately, as we've read before, the Lord's appearance within the material world is not appreciated by everyone. It's appreciated to different extents, but His ultimate, the understanding of the Lord as the absolute truth is not immediately appreciated by everyone. So the demigods are here another example of that, thinking that the Lord's beauty is non-different from that which is created by Lord Brahma. Which is quite interesting, was because they've seen the whole pastime of Krishna Lila, if they're lucky, some of them, especially Brahma Vimohana Lila, where Brahma is put into illusion by the Lord himself to teach Lord Brahma a lesson because Brahma tried to show his mystic opulence in front of Krishna's power. In that section, also Lord Brahma prays and he glorifies the Lord's beauty. In fact, he talks about the Lord's pastime, and soon we'll come to it, of how Uddhava in this section will then begin to glorify the Lord's mercy and how he was so merciful to Putana who had come to kill him. In fact, it's mentioned, Brahma mentions in the prayers, I was quite surprised when I was reading the purport that in the translation, it's mentioned that the Bhakasura and Agasura, the two brothers of Putana, got the mercy of the Lord simply because of Putana's devotional service. Very interesting. I found that very interesting. They got the mercy of the Lord simply because of Putana's devotional service. And what service did Putana do? She went to go and kill Krishna. But before she went to kill Krishna, she appreciated his beauty actually. That this is a wonderful boy, but he's like a sword encased within a sheath. That he's very beautiful, but he's also dangerous at the same time. And she also performed the devotional service of that of a mother by giving her breast milk to Lord Krishna. Because of that devotional service, her family members benefited. And often Prabhupada says, if, the demons, they perform such sinful activities like Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, and the Lord, because of their mood of being completely absorbed in the Lord in the wrong way, in the unfavorable way, that they got the mercy of the Lord to the extent that they got liberation and they got the Lord's association. What to speak of the pure devotees or the devotees that are endeavoring to constantly engage in his devotional service. So in the same way I was thinking, Putana just did one simple service, right? What to speak of all those who are performing devotional service for the Lord? Family members of them, how much benefit they will get. So I found that section very interesting. But anyway, the point is that Lord Brahma recognizes Krishna's presence even beyond himself. He even, during the section of his prayers, he explains how the Lord he appears from the Lord's navel as from the lotus flower. And that section, he takes a good 5-6 verses to emphasize that point to himself, that actually I appeared from you and you don't appear from anyone else except yourself. And you'll see in Lord Brahma's prayers throughout Bhagavatam, he likes to emphasize on this particular point of how he appears from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu through the stem, from the lotus that emanates from his navel. And that section, you can understand that this is how Lord Brahma relishes his relationship with the Lord, having appeared in the material world. That he appreciates so much how he's related to the Lord as his son, being completely, like Aja, completely directly born from the Lord himself. His mother and father is the Lord. And he's born from the Lord, and he's given direct instructions from the Lord. So he relishes that. First of all, given the opportunity to be directly appear from the Lord's lotus navel, and at the same time he is rescued by the Lord from ignorance by giving instructions from within the heart. So Lord Brahma appreciates that aspect of the Lord. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that point as well. But that whole section there, even Lord Brahma emphasizes or glorifies the Lord's beauty, glorifies Vrindavan, glorifies Nanda Maharaj, because within his backyard Lord Krishna is playing. So this has already been mentioned. We've already gone through this in Krishna's pastime. Still the demigods weren't able to appreciate Lord Krishna's beauty as being beyond the material realm. Now, Prabhupada quotes 10.8 Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. In that section, I read the purport because it's very nice to be able to, when Prabhupada quotes a particular verse in a purport, to actually read the purport that is of that verse he's quoted. Because then you understand something more about why Prabhupada's quoted that verse, and you're able to relish a bit more that in relation to the purport. Because the whole, the whole crux or the whole theme of the purport is to mention how Krishna's beyond the material world. Krishna's beauty is that which is beyond the understanding of any living entity within this material world, even that of Lord Brahma. But for the sake of understanding how beautiful Lord Krishna is, we take the most beautiful objects within the material world, like the lotus flower, the blue lotus flower, and the full moon on a very dark sky. We take the most beautiful examples to explain Krishna's beauty. That's why he's Shyama Sundara. We say his body is blackish, like that of the monsoon cloud. But it's not actually that, because Krishna's beauty is beyond that which is seen in the material realm. So same thing with the lotus flower. He's got lotus-like feet. He has lotus-like eyes. Because the beauty is beyond that, but it is appreciated by using that as an example. Because the whole point of examples and everything is to help you understand that which is beyond your understanding, beyond your perception. So we have that example of person stuck in jail. To be able to understand what's happening, what the outside world is like, he needs to be explained in relation to his jail. If he's lived in the jail for majority of his life, then the person who's come to see him needs to explain the whole world in relation to his jail. But then the problem is of falling into the trap of the Dr. Frog philosophy. How Dr. Frog thought that, I can understand and estimate the nature of the Pacific Ocean simply by the diameter of my small well. So that's why in the 10.8, it was very interesting. Prabhupada starts talking a lot about how you need to follow authority, authorized commentaries to be able to understand Krishna's beauty, understand Krishna's position. So in the purport, there are three things that were in relation to this particular section that I pulled out. One is that Prabhupada actually emphasizes in the purport the same thing he's emphasizing here. That no one is the creator of Krishna, rather he is the creator of everyone. And in the purport, Prabhupada specifically mentions that again, which I found very interesting. Prabhupada's quotation and Prabhupada's understanding of bhakti knowledge is amazing. It's because if you read the purport, it's not like Prabhupada went to 10.8 and referred, what did I write in the purport? Okay, let me then refer it to this particular section. No. Prabhupada was just so absorbed. In fact, Prabhupada says the super soul was dictating him when he was writing these purports. So if you read that 10.8 in relationship with this purport, you'll be amazed and surprised, because Prabhupada there talks about how the source of Krishna is Brahma, and that it is actually Krishna who instructed Brahma that how to create, how to perform his activities in service. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that without knowledge, with knowledge of Krishna's beauty, Krishna's Krishna Tattva, our doubts will be destroyed, and then we can wholeheartedly serve the Lord. Prabhupada says one who understands Krishna, understands the philosophy of Krishna, then one will be able to perform devotional service and then be able to engage in his service of the Lord wholeheartedly. With knowledge, one will be able to immediately get rid of doubts, and from those doubts, one will be able to then wholeheartedly, with full conviction, Prabhupada says, engage in the service of the Lord. So, this is required. It is required to understand Krishna's position as Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. Because if we don't recognize this position of the Lord and understand the position of the Lord, and we take the Lord just to be another ordinary living entity or someone who is great, then so many things, so many doubts will appear in the mind. Why should you serve him? He's just another living entity. What can he do? What can you do for me? All of these doubts, what's my relationship with him? If he's just one of us, then who am I in relationship to him? Therefore, this understanding of Atma Tattva, Adhyatmika Viddhi, or understanding Adhyatmika Yoga, understanding the science of the self, understanding one's relationship with Krishna and Krishna's position is required. Because then acting on that platform, we can get rid of doubts and with full conviction, wholeheartedly engage in the service of the Lord. So, to be able to understand Krishna's beauty, here we see an example of how the demigods simply by their own endeavors couldn't understand, but they require some higher knowledge. And Prabhupada writes in his purport that we need to follow authorized commentaries to be able to understand Krishna as he is. So in other words, the demigods, understanding the Lord from their perspective, understood Krishna to be just another creation of Lord Brahma, but it wasn't exactly that. So to be able to understand Krishna, who he is, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tattvataha, to be able to understand something little about Krishna. Again, in the 10th canto I was recently reading, it's mentioned that if you just understand something about Lord Krishna, maintain your devotional service and maintain rules and regulations, engage in devotional service, just even that little amount of knowledge will save you from material existence and elevate you back, good to go home back to Godhead. Just a little bit of knowledge about Krishna. So that's what's been given here. And the demigods, again, I'm saying, they're, emphasize or are examples of this principle. How you cannot understand the Lord without the help of someone who knows the Lord, without the personal associates of the Lord, or those who come in the line of the Lord's disciplic succession. So here's the problem of the demigods, but Uddhava is explaining it to Vidura, because Vidura understood. Because Vidura was there during the Rajasuya Yagya, Uddhava was also there, and the beauty that the Lord manifested during the Rajasuya Yagya that was appreciated by everyone there, Uddhava knew that Vidura would be able to relate with him in his remembrance of the Lord's beauty. And in tomorrow's verse, we will read about how Uddhava takes it one step further and actually says, yeah, the demigods saw like this, but this is how the topmost devotees of the Lord saw his beauty. His beauty is so captivating that it was like this. And Uddhava then relays what he saw in Vrindavan when he went to visit the gopis and deliver the message of Lord Krishna. So the flow goes like this, that Uddhava is ecstatically remembering Lord's beauty and how his body is the ornament of all ornaments, to the extent that everyone, not leaving Lord Vishnu himself, all the Vishnu avatars, they are all attracted to Krishna's body. And Vidura, you should also know this, because you were there during the Rajasuya Yagya. But what to speak of that beauty? It is appreciated to the best extent by the gopis of Vrindavan. So that's that sort of flow. And then the Prabhupada's mentioning how you can't compare Krishna's beauty to anything within this material universe. By doing so, you just simply limit your understanding of Krishna to a very mundane platform. And to be able to understand Krishna's position, you need to know through the authorized commentaries. Or to understand Krishna's beauty as it is, you need to understand through the authorized representatives of Krishna who have seen his beauty. I think Nrsimha Kavach Prabhu mentioned this a few times. He was quoting from the Rig Veda, how the pure devotees of the Lord, they're able to see the abode of the Lord. And because they constantly see the Lord, and see the abode of the Lord, they're able to show others because of that connection. And finally, Prabhupada says that actually no one is the creator, rather everyone, Krishna is the creator of everyone. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate. And in the purport, Prabhupada mentions there that with knowledge our doubts will be destroyed and we'll be able to wholeheartedly serve Krishna. But then again, Prabhupada emphasizes that to be able to understand Krishna, we need to follow the information and the knowledge given by the Guru Parampara. So I'll end here. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
So we see at the beginning of Krishna Buddha that when the demons go for Krishna, the Guru, understands the situation and explains the situation, and he instructs them to come down and take both of them down and take them to the floor.
That the Supreme Lord is going to appear, yeah.
How do we understand that the demigods understand this true parampara at the same time they don't understand Krishna identity. And not just them, but even Brahma himself, who is said to understand Krishna. How is it that people who really understand Krishna?
So, yeah, even though Lord Brahma is the founder of our sampradaya, the reason why he fell into illusion was by the Lord's Yogamaya Shakti or Yogamaya potency. So there in the purport, it's emphasized then again and again and again. Even in Krishna book by Srila Prabhupada, it's mentioned there that it was all by the Lord's potency. The Lord arranged that, the Lord's internal potency arranged that pastime. In fact, you can go one step further, and often quoted is the how Lord Brahma ran after his own daughter. If you want to go to that extent, that even though the Lord has the knowledge, even though Brahma has the knowledge, why did he end up doing that? That was, Prabhupada says we should not misunderstand that section, misunderstand that. That may have been a Brahma of a different yuga or a different time. Our Brahma is a pure devotee of the Lord. And our Brahma particularly went through the Brahma Vimohana Leela because of Yogamaya. Now in terms of him understanding, in terms of the demigods, even though them understanding the Lord's position, it's kind of like Prabhupada came and gave pure devotional service. In all of Prabhupada's lectures, purports, anything Prabhupada gave, we may sit down and we'll listen and we'll understand the tattva, the knowledge, but how much have we realized it? How much have we appreciated it? Prabhupada can sit here and give a class. Prabhupada is giving Srimad Bhagavatam to everyone. But those devotees that are absorbed completely in that, they'll be able to appreciate what Prabhupada is saying much more than our level of understanding. So to appreciate the beauty of Lord Krishna in its complete understanding, each of us will have a different level of understanding. Right? Even like, for example, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami explains that I am hesitant to explain the pastimes of the Lord in his Vipralamba Bhav, because I'm scared of people misinterpreting and people misunderstanding. But then he says that I will mention it anyway, because those who need to know, they will understand. And those who don't know, they will be covered by a Maya and they won't be able to understand it. So from that you can understand already there's a filtering process because of our own level of surrender to the Lord. So although they're given such knowledge, their realization of such knowledge is not there. So you can even go one step further. Indra is actually directly working under Lord Vishnu. He is the prime demigod of all the others other than Brahma and Shiva. So he has complete relationship with Yagya Purusha during all the yagyas. But still he went against Krishna. Even though he made a mistake and Surabhi came and everything was still done, still he made the same mistake against Lord Krishna. So it's that level of realization and understanding that's being mentioned here. That they contemplated him being the ultimate dexterous creation of Brahma, the creator of human beings. So you can say in one sense Krishna was successful because he came and appeared as a normal human, as an ordinary human being, and he bewildered the whole world like that except for a few of his devotees. And Krishna was able to do that. And that's his pastime. Anything else? Sorry, did I answer your question? Yeah. Anything else? Grantaraj, thank you for attending. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.